I would love him to be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think it would be great from the production, but also just that veteran in that room. Everyone could learn from him.
And
Preach.
that's when you...
Now, from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio, this is the Buffalo Plus podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus podcast. We're all back together. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates, I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. We're going to get into NFL free agency is a week from today. We're going to talk about some of the players being linked to Buffalo, as well as if some guys will be back with the Bills. A lot of names to talk about, as well as Mike will have some shout outs. And also, gentlemen, I got to be honest, I missed you guys.
Oh,
I did.
Nice.
I really did.
She's just lying through her teeth.
No, I'm not.
No. It was great that we were able to do it.
Yes.
Made some technical adjustments
Yes.
to make sure we could do that. And it was fun. I will say, I know you have a little FOMO when you didn't go to Indy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for us, Dan, it was a little less seeing everybody out than normal. Like we usually we saw a lot of the people, obviously, right there at the combine. But it was a little less of the non-scheduled interviews in a bar
Extracurricular.
Yes.
Extracurriculars.
Much more low-key. Everybody went to the Pacers game on Tuesday, we found out, but nobody like sat with one another.
Excuse me, it was the Sixers game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Again, it was cool to get to talk to, Sam Monson, Mike Reese, Diana Rossini. Like all of those were people that we've either wanted to have on as guests or people that have been friends of the channel and things like that. Diana Rossini. Big fan
of the show.
I love
Big
that.
fan of the show. So yeah, and then it was nice to get back. Jenna held down the fort. Should we start with should I do the pilot story?
Well, as you guys know, Dan has a little history of being a little, what's the phrase they use for little kids? Fraidy cat?
Fraidy cat.
A little scared when he gets
Scaredy
on the
cat.
plane.
You
Ooh,
scared.
it's bumpy.
You
Ooh.
scared.
And we know he's had
I'm sorry that I don't like turbulence in a metal tube in the sky.
we know he's had his pilot issues. We have the pilot of the
We
show,
have a pilot.
Brian.
Yeah.
Who's tried to talk you down on some of that stuff. I don't know if it's worked.
You scared.
So we were on a flight.
But we've also, hey, what about the other time we were traveling somewhere and there were all the cancellations? We were talking to a pilot as we were walking to our
that guy
gate.
was cool. That guy was central casting
pilot. And we were talking about it and he goes, I don't know how any of these cancellations and this stuff work. He goes, I just moved the metal.
It's so good.
I was like,
It's a good line.
It is.
I was like, that guy's been a pilot for 30 years.
Walking in his pilot outfit.
It's a cool outfit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right, what's your story?
So we had a little bit bumpy flights on the way to Indy.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. Put me on camera. No. It's fine.
Okay. They were a little bumpy flights heading to Indy. Also, I do want this on the record. I was never a bad flyer until I had kids. And I think that has like heightened my sense of like terrifying fear.
Okay. That's
Okay. So
we're still
handout.
going to make fun of you, but that's a little bit more fair.
Okay. So if anybody is like, doesn't love turbulence, like comment in below, like somebody's got to have my back of like, I'm not a big fan of it. The worst one was
I'm not a big
Nobody
fan
is a fan
of
of
turbulence. I just feel like your threshold for turbulence is like a bump and you're
ooh,
like,
it's a
oh
bump.
my God.
no, but again, that guy at that flight that landed into Rochester, he was going to throw up. I wasn't that bad. I was just scared.
Well, he's soft too.
Okay. So we've documented that. And then it was before the flight to Denver when I was like researching that it's windy and all of those things going into the mountains. And Jenna's like, it's going to be a rough flight. And it was like, that was exactly what you told me the day before I was flying solo out there. That was not what I needed to hear. Anyway, we have this flight and our flight from Indy to Detroit, I thought was the smoothest flight I've ever been on.
Wow.
Okay. So we're walking out and I have a little bit of that dad in me. It's when the waiter comes over and is like, did you like your food? And you're like, no, I hated it. Send it back. And your plate's empty. So I was just walking by.
And the pilot comes out of the cockpit and says, thank you to everybody as they're leaving.
Also, it's the flight deck.
Okay.
Bride will back me up here.
Yes.
Pilot will back me up here. And I just said to him, I go, that was the smoothest flight I've ever been on. And just like walking out. And everybody also, whenever I'm Jenna, you or I are walking out, it's a nice camera you got there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a big camera you got there. What do? You use
Yeah.
that? No pictures. No pictures. You're like, got it. Okay.
So here's Dan. Dan's walking out. The pilot comes out. He's greeting everybody. And Dan says,
smoothest flight I've ever been on.
And the pilot, without hesitation, says,
thanks, this is my first one. And I stopped in my tracks. And this guy looked 25.
oh, he was awesome, though.
And he was like, I was like, what? And he goes, I'm just messing with you, man. And I was like, pilots are so cool.
I know.
Like, it's just an aura that a pilot has. That is just like,
my first one.
he's like, yeah, I just took a metal tube in the sky and landed on the ground. Nope, no problem.
And he's
Casual.
like, let me mess with this dude.
Because that was
That's
the other
amazing.
flight. Remember, Mike, that was the other flight that I walked by and I was like, hey, it was one of the bumpy ones. And I was like, was that tough? And he just looks at me and goes, older guy, central casting for a pilot, and goes, easy peasy. And I was
Which
like,
again, I want my pilot to say that.
That's
yes.
it.
But that was the famous one, is the one where we hit the turbulence at the one point.
Yeah.
I can't remember what flight it was, but it was bumpy. Like I think like a cabin opened up, like one of the storage things popped open.
Overhead bins.
Yes,
Were
overhead.
we
bin.
all together?
No, it was just Mike and I and
Yeah.
one of the flights,
It
and
was
like,
fine.
but the pilot never got on. So I was like, oh, okay, like he's focused, or like this didn't surprise him. And then he got on after, was like, boy, that surprised me. And you're like, I don't need to know that you in the air are surprised by anything. But Brian, our pilot, says sometimes you hit turbulence, you don't, rough air that
So
you don't
this
know.
young pilot was not only good, he was funny. And he knew an easy mark when he saw you.
Thanks, man. It's my first time. I was like, what?
So
He's like,
good.
nah.
That's what you get.
That was, and then of course I turn around and Mike's right behind
Oh,
me.
I'm just
And
dying.
Mike's like, oh, we're talking about that in the pod. So of course that was
I
our
love
flight
it.
to Detroit, and then it was easy flight back in.
Okay, well, we love that.
Yeah.
Easy flight home. You guys had a lot of fun at the combine. But now up ahead, it's crazy how fast the NFL schedule works, where it's like, all right, a week from today is the start of legal tampering. The league new year isn't technically until the 11th, but
Legal tampering started at Elmo's
Yes,
Yeah.
this past week.
yeah.
as Diana Rossini explained.
But there are a
Yes.
couple guys that have been linked to the Bills. Dan Graziano, as well as Jeremy Fowler, reports from ESPN that Rashid Shaheed, as well as Romeo Doubs, both wide receivers, have been names that have been linked to the Bills. Michael?
I like both players. I think they're both good players. I think it's going to cost you a lot of money, and that's been the Bills' problem. I think these guys, in theory, would be really good. Their issue is paying guys like that. I don't think either one is a great player. I think if you did not have Josh Palmer under contract, maybe I'd feel a little differently about it. I want to see them draft wide receivers high. And I want to see them either, with a wide receiver, you either go big or you go small in free agency or trades.
Mhm.
That's what I would like to see them do. The mid-level stuff doesn't work. I think Dobbs, at his age and what he's shown, I like the player. My worry is that you're going to be paying him again in his contract, and he's not a star and he's not cheap, either one. That's the only problem I have. Would he make it a better wide receiver room? Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
So would Shaheed.
Yeah.
The issue is the cost of doing business at that position. When I heard Jeremy White on the radio this morning, he and Joe in Buffalo, and I think he said that Josh Palmer was the 5th highest paid number 2 receiver in the entire league.
Wow.
Because teams don't pay their second wide receiver that much money. Shakir's 1, and these guys would be 2.
Did you see the tweet from our good friend Carl Jones?
No.
Okay, so since 2016, how many free agents that have reached free agency, how many wide receivers that have reached free agency have had 1,000 yards in the season that they signed in?
Oh.
There's so few that are in
Since
free agency.
2018,
16.
2016.
So signed, had 1,000 yards that year.
Did Diggs have 1,000 this year?
He did.
He did.
He's one of them.
Yeah. He just hit 1,000.
Throw me a number.
I'm going to. I feel like my number's too
Since
low.
20 what?
16.
I'm going to say 5.
8.
7.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
you were closest.
So as
yeah.
Carl pointed out, friend of the channel, friend of ours. Free agency is not the place to look for a high impact wide receiver.
Well, it's also so expensive.
The caliber of players don't hit the open market. And if they usually do, they've aged. Like it's Diggs, it's Hopkins, it's some of those guys. Like
they don't hit the open market. There are good receivers that are available, but you're trading assets for them.
Correct.
Right.
You draft or trade for number one wide receivers.
So are you just out on either of those guys?
No. But like when Mike says, and he goes, Doubs or Shaheed would raise the Bills wide receiver room. To that, I'd say that's a low bar to clear. I think a lot of bodies at this point would raise the floor of what this wide receiver room is. It's just, like I said, I think Shaheed's an interesting one because he was the free at the trade deadline. It was like, he was somebody that could be linked, and whether the cost or the cap or whatever Bean wants to say, and it takes two to tango. He was a guy that I thought could make an impact.
It's the trade deadline. Like you're just looking for that guy, and there's not that many available, so you make that move. But now it's the offseason, free agency, draft. You got a lot of options.
Right. And trade deadline, you're taking on that team's contract that they decided to pay for him. So you're setting your evaluation. It's just, I think a lot of people, and myself included, I don't even know if myself, but like Alec Pierce is like the name. And I talked to Matt Harmon, that video is up on our YouTube channel right now. But just the fact of, I think he's going to price himself out. And I think it's a lot of money to pay for a guy that had 46 catches. Like, I think there can be a regression in what you're going to, I think he's going to get over 20 million. He may be in the 25 million range. And like, we saw how that can kind of handcuff you. Like when you hit free agency and when you come to spending money around like Josh Palmer, that's around what he was making. So like, I don't think it's feasible. Two, I don't know if like that hype matches what I think he's going to get paid.
I just worry that if you were to sign either Shaheed or Doubs, it's like, all right, we fixed it. Where it's like, no. And I've said this all offseason. This is a multiple approach if I'm the Bills and at wide receiver. If you're signing a free agent, that means you're still drafting at one of the top 3 to 4 picks, a wide receiver. Like there needs to be more talent, but there also needs to be a little bit of the bodies approach of like, hey, let's just get guys in here because I think we've seen what the floor of that room is. But I feel like with Shaheed, I mean, that's someone that already has been talked about. The trade deadline was a report that he was of interest to the Bills, the return ability as well. There's that. But I mean, is it like for you? Actually, I should ask you because Mike Evans is someone that people have talked about as well. Not specifically tied to Buffalo, but someone that could be a good fit if the Bills want to go after him.
Yeah, I think Mike Evans is a true pro, and I think he's a future Hall of Famer. And when I hear the pushback of old and injured, I just think like he had 1 year where he was injured. Even one of the year before when he missed 2 or 3 games, he still had 1,000 yards. Like that is the type of consummate pro that you're getting who can play all over the field. He's a bigger body. Now, again, Mike and I talked about it a lot over Indy. Maybe Mike Evans is happy with his life in Tampa and doesn't even want to and signs a 1-year deal like with the Bucs and returns. Although I know he hasn't sniffed a Super Bowl.
If people miss that.
Jason McIntyre of
Colin Cowherd. Yeah, said that about Mike Evans. Why are we talking about Mike Evans? You know him better than either one of us.
That's true.
So
that'd be a great story.
It'd be a great story. So what year was this? 28. Oh my God. No, it must have been 2017 because I was done with treatment.
2017.
Yeah. After I'd gone through being sick, I had my treatment and I was done. And
I made you go down on the field and shoot a game.
I would say, yeah. So I wanted
you shouldn't have been standing there. Like in defense, you shouldn't have.
They
where you're told not to be.
Remember when you were supposed to kneel?
Yes. Would have killed you.
Used to have to be on the sidelines kneeling.
In
and
the
I
end
was
zone,
like, I just got through cancer treatment. I'm not fucking kneeling. I'm not kneeling. So I was standing, which thank God I was standing. But that was when Jameis Winston was the quarterback of Tampa. And Mike Evans
coming to the sidelines.
Ran into me.
Trey White covering him. Touchdown.
Yeah,
Tampa
thank
Bay.
God the Bills won that game in overtime.
And Jenna went flying.
Yeah, the video of it is hilarious.
Mondays.
Am I right? I laid there afterwards. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah. So if he does join the Bills, have a reunion here.
Yeah, I'm sure he remembers that moment very well, I'm sure.
Well, we'll show him the video.
Oh my gosh. There's honestly not that much video of it.
Oh,
we'll find
there
it.
is.
Yeah, we'll find it.
Is really good.
Where Mike can't find receipts of his Shakir take, we would find receipts of that video.
I was looking for it today.
Yeah, I can't find it.
Oh, it's there.
Nope, can't find it.
It's there.
Do you think Mike Evans would actually leave Tampa?
I think they drafted a couple of receivers. Crazy idea, right?
Wild.
Yes. What's
Abuka
and
really
Tess
good.
Johnson, right?
Yep.
This is the other
and
one.
They've had Chris Godwin.
And they still have Godwin. So it could be that point where it's like, we really like you, but we're going to let you look. And you're right. Sometimes the player does that and goes, do I really want to leave? But he might say, I got another year or two in me that I want to play, so I'm going to go somewhere good. I'd always wanted Mike Evans, that type of player on the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I just think his skill set just works for them. He's had success. I mean, he had success with bad quarterbacks, with good quarterbacks like Baker, and obviously with Tom Brady, Jameis. Like, it didn't matter to get to play with Josh Allen. And he's a free agent, and I don't think the money would be crazy.
Yeah.
No, especially a 1-year type of deal. And like, that's where a wide receiver at his age and at his point in his career, like, that's what he's realistically going to get. Now, if somebody wants to throw him a 3-year deal, then I would imagine he would want to take that money. But I don't know if that's the market for an older wide receiver.
I would love him to be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I think it would be great from the production, but also just that veteran in that room. Everyone could learn from him.
And
Preach.
That's when you you got to double dip.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm
that
still
takes
saying that.
away-
Yes.
It takes away the feeling that you have to take the receiver in the first round. If you've already gotten Mike Evans.
No. It takes away the pressure that receiver has to have the immediate impact.
That's my point. I think there's the thought that if you draft that guy, you're drafting him the highest you can because you feel like he's got to jump right in. If you have Mike Evans, I think also I also want to be a little bit fair to Josh Palmer. He was not healthy.
Correct.
Yeah.
They could get more out of him. That doesn't mean great. He's not going anywhere with his contract.
It would be hard to get less.
That's true. So it's almost like you just signed him this year because he really did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was in large part due to injury and he couldn't get back on the field. So the only reason I'm saying that's all these other guys contribute. But if you got a Mike Evans and then you said, oh, we really like this guy in the second round or the third round.
I would love that.
Then you may be able to do that where you're not giving up assets for the wide receiver. And maybe it is, the kind of deal where he's around for the year. It's sort of the way you signed
Bosa.
Leonard Floyd, the way you signed Bosa. It's
Yeah.
like 1-year deals and then see what happens.
Be a pass-catching, touchdown-grabbing merchant.
I love the idea. The longer we're sitting here, I'm like, do it now. Because I just think I think Mike Evans is not a diva, but has shown that there is, first of all, the production is off the charts. And is he getting older? Yes. But because of that, I would imagine he's not going to get as much on the open market. But that veteran leadership of setting the tone in that room, you could say a lot of things about Stephon Diggs, but he was able to set the tone in that room. And I think they could benefit from that. And I think they kind of need someone that's a bit of I don't want to say a jerk because that's not the right characterization of Mike Evans, but this is the standard and this is where we need to be at. And we have not been
And he
there.
also plays at the position at wide receiver that the Bills desperately need.
Yeah, I asked Matt Hartman just like quickly off the record, like, because he kind of touched on Mike Evans and I just said, like, would Evans fit? And he's like, Evans would fit anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's how good he is. So knowledgeable. So all of those things. And again, if we're talking about trying to,
You said it.
And
All
again,
of those things.
all those things. By the way, I really, Matt Harmon, great dude, right?
great dude.
He's high on your list now, isn't he? He's up there. You guys are buds now.
We are buds.
Yeah.
We were neighbors.
Yeah.
I do love that he was talking about how they're going to iron the back of the Yahoo
good.
backdrop.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah,
And we were lockstep on a lot of things.
You took my take on Khalil Shakir.
When you find the receipts, maybe I'll change my opinion. But
So, as in many cases, I will just articulate it quickly. I said, as good as Shakir is, I do not want to see them shy away from a player whose main role could be in the slot and maybe be more dynamic because Khalil Shakir is there. And is there a part of you that thinks he's holding back the offense because he's too good to take off the field?
He said he was going to do it concisely.
This is concisely. He's too good to take off the field, but it's taking away from other players who could be in the slot. And then Dan wrote down everything I said and then said it to Matt Harmon.
What did he say?
He agreed. You didn't listen to the interview?
No, I did. I actually did. It was good. I was just writing a text to Bove asking if he could send us saber sound. So I was multitasking.
Oh, that's very nice.
Look at that. All right, yeah, I'm all in on Mike Evans.
I also think I'm more in on Brian Thomas Jr. than I am AJ Brown.
So both of those guys, it's a good point. I think you said it. One of you two said, why would the Jags trade him? Only because depending on what they're going to do.
Well, if they get a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr., I think they would like that very much.
Yeah. Then they probably just go young again at the wide receiver position.
Correct. Harmon did express some concerns about
what he brings.
What about the thought that Brian Thomas had that phenomenal rookie year? And he made the point to, and it may have been off camera, but was just kind of saying like, that Jags team sucked.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anybody. And it was Mac Jones who came in, and as the backup quarterback, sometimes your job is just throw it to your number one wide receiver. And so that those numbers were a little bit inflated to what the Jags really were, what they really thought of Brian Thomas Jr. And
I don't think AJ Brown's coming to the Bills.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. It's an interesting contract with AJ Brown. If you make a trade for him with the Eagles, if they trade him before June 1st, they take a massive cap hit. If they trade him after June 1st, it's substantially down, which probably impacts the amount of resources that it takes to get him. His cap number is low for a couple of years, but he's got these options in his contract. Eventually, it's going to be big money, dead money against the cap. But you'd be getting A.J. Brown, who's basically the same age as Josh Allen, if you were going to get him. It just doesn't feel like that's a marriage there. I guess
a lot of the free agent wide receivers, and obviously this is going to be ramped up, and I don't mean to be like poo-pooing, like before signs are actually even.
It's a funny phrase.
It is a funny phrase. Poo-poo.
I guess just going off of like what Carl tweeted, my expectation is not that they're getting some number one guy. Like I really think that the number one guy should be drafted and not necessarily signed in free agency. So I guess I'm just tempering my expectations when we're going into it saying, oh, Romeo Doubs is now going to have 80 catches and 1,200 yards. Like that's not what my expectations were to be. If you want to find like Michael Pittman, what would he cost? What would the trade, all of that have to be? And say, man, Michael Pittman's a really good number 2. You go and get a Denzel Boston in the first round, and then you have Khalil Shakir at 3. Keon Coleman can fit into 4, and Josh Palmer, however that fits. Then all of a sudden I'm saying, well, now your wide receiver room's maybe has something to it, rather than, hey, we're getting Doubs, and we'll take a flyer on a 4th round wide receiver and a 5th round wide receiver. That's what I'm afraid, I guess. That's my apprehension.
Doubs is young. What is he, 25 still? He's a young player. So,
but you talked about where they've drafted other guys around him. Like Doubs has kind of seemingly been kind of like Josh Palmer. Like the Chargers have drafted the position. Like the Packers don't seem to be like holding Dobbs's leg going like, please don't leave. We got to make this work.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what happened with the Chargers.
Yeah. It's kind of an indication too.
Right. And that shows you again, the free agent market where it's like, sometimes I look at what the team that's losing them. And I talked about this with Matt Harmon. Like that tells you a lot. Whereas if the team's like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
As compared to, I can't believe we let this guy go. That just
also sometimes teams are stupid.
When
AJ Brown got traded by the Titans, he was 24 years old. And they just decided to trade him.
That was stupid.
Yeah. There are some dumb
They didn't let
teams.
him walk in free agency.
No, but they did get a number 1 pick. They picked the wrong guy, and
it
never worked out for them in that way. But
But if they pick the right guy, then it would be like, oh, they made this move.
Well, a good example of that is the Vikings
It's
trading
Diggs.
Diggs.
Yeah.
And they got Justin Jefferson.
Yeah,
So,
that worked out well.
yeah.
No, I do think it's sometimes an indicator if a team, but within the balance of knowing that there are some teams that are stupid.
Yeah.
It depends on the franchise. Well, you talk about cap hits and everything. What do they do with Dawson Knox?
Well, the contract obviously doesn't work.
Yes.
And his cap hit is high. It's funny when you think of Knox, I think and say, all right, so they have 3 tight ends on the roster. They have one guy who's a pass catcher, one guy who's a blocker.
And then one guy that's both.
He's both.
Yeah.
He's, let's say, what would you say? I would say Knox is a better pass catcher than
Jackson Hawes.
Hawes.
No doubt.
And he's a better blocker than Kincaid.
Correct.
But we all really like Dawson. There's worse things to be said about a person than they're overpaid because they could take the money. He's overpaid for what he is for this team. So they need to adjust that. I know they will. They're going to do something with it. And I know he wants to stay. The question is, at what number? Is it less money? Do they consolidate the contract where he's got heavy incentives? He gets to stay another year. Like, at what point is it, I hear people say, he's great in the room. He's Josh's buddy. All that stuff is fine. It's business now. And this draft has a decent amount of tight ends if you wanted to take a shot at another one that you're going to get, or you sign another veteran that is considerably cheaper for the role that they have. I think he's going to be on the team. I think he wants to be there, and I think they can make the number work. But they've put themselves in this spot. Yeah, honestly, they did. They signed him, and then they drafted Kincaid.
Honestly, when they even signed that contract, I was like, wow, that's a big number. And then the next year they drafted over him, obviously.
Yeah, I think that they would like it to be, or at least I would like it to be, something like what they did with Milano. We really want you around. We just don't like you at that number. And so whether it becomes the reduction in the cap, whether it's the pay cut, they politely say, we're going to cut you, or you can take it's what Mitch Morris did the one year, right, and kind of like Milano, and say, I'd also like to see it, with a ton of incentives. You can
make that money back.
You'll make the money back. 40 catches, 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then in week 18, we're going, hey, Dawson Knox needs this 2 touchdowns for $500,000 to make it back up. That's where I would hope it ends up. And like you said, Mike, I think he would like to be in Buffalo as well. I think he's one of, can't say he's a cornerstone piece, but he's one of the locker room guys. Like, he's one of Josh's best friends. So I think some of that plays into it.
I think if you're Knox and his agent, you have to look at it and say, well, what am I worth on the open market?
Yep.
And then maybe you then decide, I'll take a little less to stay in Buffalo. Let's just make up numbers. Let's say on the open market, they believe he's getting $9 million a year, and the Bills offer $5 in a deal. Then you might be like, ooh, it was $4 million.
Yeah, it's hard it's hard to leave that on the table.
He's going to go play with Brian Daboll I was about to say where he is in Nashville.
I could absolutely, if he's not for the Bills, I could see him being in Nashville.
Right? Yep. It would make sense in a way. It still is. At some point, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's going to be, because they're going to do, Knox is going to find out what he's going to have. Kincaid is going to get the 5th-year option. Kincaid's going to be there for a while. Yeah. Seems like it's the case, right? And they just drafted Hawes. They got him on a cheap contract. So at some point, it feels like this relationship will end with the Bills.
That's where I know people have talked about restructuring. Like, I want more of the Milano route, where it's,
because when you restructure, you're saying this guy is on your team for that many more years.
You want to restructure players that you see with a future for years to come. That's the whole Ed Oliver, Deion Dawkins, Josh Allen. That's where it's easy to restructure when it's.
So do you want multiple more years of Dawson Knox?
No, that's why I'm saying I want it to be the Milano.
Yeah.
Where you're saying, hey, this is probably it.
So it's more money up front. It's probably got a couple of incentives, and then it also probably has some void years.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's going to happen. We're recording this on Monday.
Yeah.
It could be happening in the next couple of days.
Yeah. And to sit here and like, Mike, when you're like, he's overpaid, it's like, you know who else thinks like that's not some like hot take. Like Brandon Bean also is aware that he's overpaid.
Yeah.
Because he said like that number will not work, cannot work.
It's true.
Who signed him to that contract?
Sean McDermott.
They're trying to find the guy. They do have to be cap compliant though by next week. So
hot dog.
Yeah,
we're all trying to figure out who did this.
That show
is
makes
incredible.
Me so uncomfortable. I can't watch that show. What is it called? Nobody Likes You.
No.
You Should Leave.
Yeah, I think that's.
I think You Should Leave. I don't know what it's called either. Do you know what we're talking about?
No, I have no idea.
I Think You Should Leave.
It's good podcasting.
I got to figure out what the name of the show is.
Yep, we got to figure this out. I Think You Should Leave.
I Think You Should Leave. It's the most uncomfortable show. People think it's funny, and I know the humor is supposed to be uncomfortable, but I can't.
When he does the pranking at the food court, I don't want to be here.
I do love the zip line though.
So good.
I think he's just here for the zip line. All right, we'll get into more conversations later on this week about other players.
Well, how about the offensive line?
Well, aren't we going to do that on Wednesday?
No, but what are they going to do? This is a free agency thing here.
Yeah.
This is making a commitment here because so you've got Osiris Torrance, who's going to get paid a lot down the line. They have big decisions to make here. You've got your guard, you've got your center, and then you got your other guard who's going to get paid. Do you want to let two of them go? Do you really want to go with that left side going new guard, I say left side, center, left side. Or do you want to redo Torrance now? Get him signed early before he gets to that point. Friend of the pod, Brian, knows his football. We text back and forth. He's like, how about this deal? How about you sign Edwards and McGovern, and then eventually you let Torrance walk?
No.
Interesting.
Because of the money he's going to get.
I just don't think it's feasible to sign both of them.
It goes against the draft, develop, resign.
Yeah, I'm tired of those narratives, though, too. It's great to say draft, resign, develop, and resign.
What I would do may be different than what I think they're going to do.
Okay, that's a good point.
It goes back to the James Cook thing where Jenna's like, you don't want to sign James Cook. I wanted to sign James Cook. I just didn't think the Bills would do it. So I think that
he didn't want to sign him.
He spun it.
Yeah. He spun it when he was wrong.
Yeah. I was never wrong, just early. Never wrong, or maybe a little late.
Yeah.
Or
you just steal a take.
So show the receipts. Show the receipts.
I talk so much. I might have just said it to Jenny, to my wife. And she's like nodding. And I'm like,
guess what?
I said it. It's on the record.
Yeah, guess what? That doesn't count.
Doesn't count?
Doesn't count.
Okay.
My question to you guys then, and where they go with this center and guard position.
Connor McGovern. If I could have my pick, Connor McGovern.
Okay. So that wasn't my question.
Okay. Sorry. I thought that's what you were going to ask.
She's got takes.
I don't think Alec Anderson, people are like, oh, you could just have Alec Anderson be the center. I don't like that idea at all. I think
that's where I was going.
Okay.
That's exactly where I was going.
I don't like that idea. I think
what did they think of Alec Anderson?
I think Alec Anderson is a fiery, passionate dude that plays with that emotion, which is great. But I want my center to be calm, cool, collected. I just don't think that fits the wheelhouse of Alec Anderson. And you also didn't pay him to be a full-time starter either.
No, but you paid him an amount that is, he's going to be on the team.
Yes.
And depending on how it works out, then they could draft a guy too that ends up being like, wow, this kid's better than we thought. The other thing is
Windhorse.
Yeah.
What do they really think? They're pumping up Van Pran Granger.
Who's pumping him up?
Well, Bean had mentioned on what they saw in him. And then also,
adorable.
I love when they talk about the Jets game. I mean, like you and I were playing for the Jets in that game.
Yeah.
So
looked great against the Jets. So
and it doesn't mean that they just have not put him in any of these spots yet. He really hasn't played.
That whenever McGovern came out in a real game that mattered, Alec Anderson went in.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I think Alec Anderson, I just think he's too emotional. And I think he plays with that emotion, which is great. And his teammates talk about him as a psycho. They literally say he's a psycho, which
you're right. Not for a center.
Not for a center. Not for a center. I need someone even keel. I need someone who people might think is high. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
What?
I just like at every turn that they had to put in Cedric Van Pran Granger, they didn't. They put in Alec Anderson. They've kept Anderson around. They made him the jumbo for 2 years ago. It was always number 70 is now reporting eligible. Then
he get in a fight.
Well, then he actually wasn't, because of Hawes, he wasn't the jumbo as much. So they had him play tackle. They had him do all of these different things. Like, I feel like they have a good understanding of what they have in Alec Anderson. They have not expressed it to me, but Windhorse Hands says if they're continuing to drag their feet maybe on what Connor McGovern is, or saying, hey, Connor, we like you at this number, go see what you can get. And their plan, it was the same thing that when they changed the plan and released Mitch Morse, they obviously knew that McGovern was going to swing in there. Have they been working with Alec Anderson this past year going, hey, you know what? We got to get you some reps in at center because
we're priming you.
But that's some reps. Connor McGovern was a starter in the league and started for the Bills and then moved over.
Moved back to center.
Yeah.
McGovern played he was all over the field when he was with Dallas when they signed him.
This is a fascinating year for this because you can mess with a lot of stuff with this team and Josh overcomes a lot of it. But if you screw up the left side of this line and you aren't prepared, I keep saying left side, center and guard, and it's not right. I mean, you're asking a lot out of Josh. And
can I contradict my own point?
Okay, sure.
Just to play devil's
it before.
Yeah. This is more of a deep cut to people. Ryan Groy was thought of as like so valuable as the 6th offensive lineman. And then they had him actually be a full-time starter and it did not go well.
Right.
And then he got paid by the Rams, I think it was, and it did not go well there either. So it is a delicate balance between being that backup. Like we said, it's fine to be a backup and play in a game, but when you're consistently in there, all those reps, all of those, games, it's a different level of expectation and a different level of pressure.
Yeah.
Not everybody's Ernie Clement, who goes from utility guy to starter and excels.
To MLB record holder in the postseason.
Look at that.
I was going to say something. I do think you have to give credit to Brandon Beane because that offensive line has been a fastball for this team.
Yeah.
And how they've been able to protect Josh. I know this past year kind of took a step back, but overall that has been a strong suit for this team. And so that is something that you want to keep that. You want to hold on to that because how valuable that has been for protecting Josh.
Yeah. They'd have to have a lot of faith in some of the guys they have drafted. Tylen Grable, Van Pran Granger. Like if these guys were ready, this is a much easier decision. I don't know if they believe it. And you mentioned Cromer already. Let's see how the new line coach is. There's a lot of faith in Cromer to get guys ready. So
I think a lot of faith is putting it lightly.
Yeah.
I mean, Cromer was a massive part of this offense.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's another thing too. Do you think they will re-sign either David Edwards or Connor McGovern?
I think Edwards has completely priced himself out with how well he has played in Buffalo. I think there is a chance that they could get something done with McGovern.
And I think there is a chance that you see a Torrance extension done after this is, or to get it settled. Could be in the works, like a year early. Because like you guys said, if that's where their commitment is, and it seems the one thing about Torrance, I got to give him credit, man. That dude never comes out of the game.
Never.
Even in the games when everybody else isn't playing, he plays.
He plays every snap.
Doesn't say boo. Doesn't do. He just plays every game.
Yeah.
So
agreed. All right. Anything else?
Your shout outs.
Oh, actually, I wanted to talk to you guys.
Oh,
so
we're right here. Go ahead and talk.
That's amazing. No, just combine wrap-up stuff. Some of the testing from the wide receivers. Did you watch the gauntlet from Denzel Boston?
I did not see his.
Okay,
Had
people
a
were
couple drops.
Yeah, he had a drop off. Like people were saying that it didn't look good. How much do you emphasize the on-field testing at the combine? Mekhi Lemon, another guy that's being talked about as not doing great in the interview process, and not like listening to directions when doing some of the on-field testing.
I think there is something to that in the idea of, teams are going to get more time with them. So sometimes when it's played out in that weird environment, Dan and I, when we talked about it, we went in and watched some of it, a very brief amount. I was doing timing of all the players. It's a different
terrible throw. That was a low throw on my boy.
That never happens in a game.
Dan's crush.
Like we
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball.
He caught 5 out of the 6.
Yeah.
How many times is he catching passes multiple times a game from multiple directions out of play? You know who did have a great gauntlet? KC Concepcion.
He did.
And by the way, shout out to KC Concepcion.
Yeah.
Who put out an Instagram post about his
Stop the
speech
negativity.
impediment and stop the negativity. I think people should be applauding him for standing up there and doing a news conference. That is a daily thing for that man. That is a 365-day-a-year issue for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one thing to talk in communication with people at a coffee shop. It's another thing to stand up at the podium and speak when you have a stuttering problem. And I give him a ton of credit. He's working on it. And then people respond because people can be jerks about things.
Yeah. So I had posted and tweeted the video of him talking about growing up in Rochester, shout out 585, and how the Bills were his dad's favorite team growing up. I obviously didn't put the context of his speech impediment in my tweet.
Right.
And somebody it was a very nice person. She didn't mean anything negative by it. She had said and replied to my tweet and said, poor guy is so nervous. And then I quoted that and said, he has a speech impediment, something he's worked with. And I quoted and added the article that he did with the AP during the season. And she goes, oh my gosh, I feel terrible now. I don't think she meant anything negative by it. I think if you first glance, you may know, oh, there's something with his speech or his nerves. He probably was nervous.
That's what I was going to say.
On top of having a speech impediment.
Yeah, it's a very different environment when you're standing up at a podium. Not even like in college where he may know everybody.
Correct.
He doesn't know any of us.
I got doved. I got doved.
Yeah. Client. Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I got doved.
Why don't you block? You got to block him.
So I have him muted. So then I was like, why does this have 300,000 views? And then I saw Dove just took my tweet.
Of course he does.
Yeah. I block all those people.
I blocked him.
Yeah. There are a lot of other people that blocked. That'd be a fun podcast. That would be a wild pod.
Yeah,
wow. I don't think I have that many, but.
Oh, Kat loves blocking.
I just block them. Usually if it's language or they say something just outrageous.
You say, enjoy this.
Block. Dipshit.
Enjoy this block.
Dipshit.
That is pretty good.
Dipshit's such a good word.
So to answer your question, as we got off on a tangent, how much do you factor in? When you have somebody that has that much tape of an actual football game in their production, I don't put as much stock into that.
Mm-hmm.
Like Carnell Tate ran a 4.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that great. Jerry Rice wasn't that, didn't run a great 40. Like there is something to it. And unless they're running a 4.8, like then you might be worried about the speed. But a lot of these guys are, if it's 4.5, 4.6, like they're still fast.
Yeah.
They're still really fast.
Let's also be honest. We're sitting there watching it. It's in a sprinter's stance.
Sterile.
It's a sterile environment, and you're running like a sprinter.
Yeah.
And not everybody. No, I don't even know if Carnell Tate ran that in high school or
Right.
whatever. But it's a very different environment. The point about answering the questions, I think teams can find out a lot about the way a guy deals with his coaches, what he does. I think people are looking for stuff sometimes on players. I'm not saying that there isn't something there. I don't know. I didn't read anything about Lemon before this.
Yeah.
About the way he is with coaching.
Did you see Beanhead jokes?
No.
Yeah.
He was on there when Tate ran like the 4.5. He's like, nah, I wouldn't take him in the top 20.
See,
Got jokes.
Yeah.
Dad joke.
Good jokes.
Dad joke. Well, he's slower to be easy to get.
Yeah.
By the way, shot of Bean watching the wide receivers played on the network. Yeah. He's like, look at all these guys I'm not drafting.
Stop it, Michael. You can't
That's not
say
nice.
that.
Do you know what else wasn't nice? NFL putting Aaron Glenn on blast.
Oh.
They want to talk about don't release the report cards because we don't want to make
anybody look bad.
And then there's a camera
There's
guy
Aaron Glenn.
that he's asleep and is like, yeah, I got Aaron Glenn asleep in the studio. And there's a
Punch him up.
Director's like, yup. Like, you think that, like,
People are like, he was looking at his phone. It was like, that man was sleeping.
I got to tell you, though,
He's sleeping.
since we walked in there, I could have taken a
Oh,
nap.
you
in
could've
Well,
an
I will
absolutely-
say that is a talk about sterile environment. You're seeing the same. I mean,
It's a massive
I'm not a
building.
head coach of an NFL team,
Well, that's
but
true.
I could see if you. It's pretty boring.
Pretty
boring.
Yeah.
yes, but it's not a good look.
No, not at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
And again,
that's-
for the NFL to protect their brand and then to just
Dunk.
dunk on one of their coaches.
God.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, yeah, but we don't want to release the report cards of the owners, but we'll just embarrass a head coach here for closing his eyes.
Yeah. I did go back and watch Keon's gauntlet.
It was a good gauntlet.
It was he
The-
ran out of bounds. Like he
But they were saying that his gauntlet was as fast as Puka's. And again, that's
he
where
was fast.
like
Yeah.
that's where it gets into the point where you're like, how much do you judge it? Like, I don't know. I have a lot of like Denzel Boston. There's 4 years of film of him and he's dropped 5 passes. So if he drops a pass in a gauntlet, am I sitting there going, it's got to
That's because
concentrate?
you love
I
him.
was
though.
say it's not all or nothing.
You
I'm not
love him.
saying
If you
that.
didn't like him, you'd be saying, see, I told you this guy can't catch.
There's nuance to it, but sometimes I'm not saying I didn't even say it was a bad gauntlet. You implied that.
I read people said he had more drops in the gauntlet than he did in like 3 years of college. So
I just heard that
Yeah.
twice from you. But I think sometimes it can, when you have the full context later on and you watch, it kind of informs you. I also think it's important. How do you take a test? NFL game is a test. How do you take a test?
Yeah, some of those guys were talking about, like, you talk about the interviews. They were like, I've interviewed with so many teams, and my last one was at like 11:30 at night.
that's what they've been
that'd
talking
be-
about,
that'd be
changing
tough.
some of that
Like,
stuff.
that's tough.
That's
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I heard another one. This is talking about what they could do at the combine, and they think the players should do the physical testing first.
Yeah.
Because you can get kind of worn out,
Yeah, I believe it.
mentally worn out. And now you're throwing them out on the field afterward. Let them test first. Just reverse the order and then
That's-
come talk
that's
to the
fair.
media after that. Can I do the shout outs?
Real quick, I
Yeah.
do think the combine matters, though. I think film is very important, but
Would you attend
well,
if you were a head coach?
I would.
There's only 2 teams that don't.
But
attend.
also, it's what's his name who was from the Rams.
yeah, and the GM too.
Yeah.
The Rams.
So he
have
comes
this
from the
thing.
Rams school of thought.
Yeah, it's fine. And they
But honestly-
both playoff teams, but
If that trend continues,
I don't necessarily think it's a trend. I think it is.
I'm saying if the Rams and the Jags continue to draft well, I could see that becoming a trend.
Yeah, I just think it's
Good
one
point.
other place for them to get information. What else are they doing? That's
I
where all the players
I
are.
hear you. I'm just saying
It's
if
good
they
for- yeah.
draft well, people might be like, maybe I should do that because it's clouding my judgment when I fall in love with a player because he says that his catch radius is a vacuum.
Good point. Can you imagine anybody falling in love with just somebody saying that?
Okay. Anything else? All right. Coming up this week, we'll talk more about the offense. Obviously, get into
Can I
free
do the
agency
shout-outs?
stuff, and then I was going to say we're going to do life advice, but Michael has shout outs.
Shout outs. UPS store, Rich. You know Rich.
I know Rich, which behind the scenes, I went to Rich a lot for my Amazon returns and all my returns. Great dude. And I was worried because they shut down my UPS
Yeah.
in Webster.
You go up to the guy every time you got to do an Amazon return at UPS?
Yeah.
You don't go to the little kiosk?
They didn't have one.
Really?
Well, they
Maybe
shut
that's
that
why-
they shut that one down, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I had the one by me because I do all of Renee's Amazon returns,
yeah.
and you just scan it, you bag it up yourself, you put the sticker on it, you drop it in a little box.
Oh, that's nice.
Never have to interact with anybody.
Well,
yeah, I
Rich
didn't
is
even have to.
great, so
I just handed him the thing and he put it in the box.
that's fair.
Was there a kiosk?
Yeah, but I'm not using that. I mean, I could
Can
have.
I-
Actually, I did go to the kiosk and it
And
said
he couldn't
go to
figure
the
it out.
no, it said go to the counter.
That's mean, Daniel.
It
That's
said
mean.
go to the counter. So I went to the counter. She had to- yeah.
This is a quick aside. Self-checkout at Wegmans makes my blood boil. Do you know what I'm talking about? Self-checkout.
You mean
I
You're
know
putting
what
it in the
self-checkout
bag and
is.
it's like, oh, you didn't put it in the bag. I'm like, I put it in the bag. And then it's yelling at you.
That's an old man take.
Yeah, I hang out with you too much.
By the way, I'm pretty good at all this stuff. I was fine. It
Oh, I
just
can't
said
stand it.
I went to the thing and
You
the
did
guy
have a
said,
couple. You did have a couple issues with the kiosk at the airport.
not this time I didn't.
The way you said that.
Getting your bag tags when we get there, and you get in the bag tags. Remember?
Did it not happen to you too? We were standing there. Both of us had an
Right.
issue getting it to
I got mine in.
both of us had an issue getting it to read.
Yeah.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes.
Man, you guys are tough. Dick's Sporting Goods, actually the like their other location.
Gone. Or
Yeah, it's
whatever,
Dominic, great talking with you. Knows his football, loves the podcast, watches all the time. Thank you very much. Lex, awesome dude, knows his football. I was like, I just was having a little show there in Dick's Sporting Goods. It was
Love
great. Talking
A
Bills.
tight 10.
And yes. And then Mike Morrow, father of my neighbor, great guy, told me this morning, loves podcasts, watches all the time.
Love it.
That's where he's so good. Like, there are so many times that people come up to me and they'll just be like, "Love Buffalo Plus," and I'll just keep walking. Like, thanks.
Yeah,
And
I panic.
I need it. Yeah, I don't.
Somebody at BJ's, it was like, love the pod. I was like, ah. Just
Yep.
panicked.
People know their stuff.
No, I know.
No.
I'm saying
I
it's
don't
cool.
know how to handle.
Yeah.
I don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. It's an us problem, not
Yeah.
a them problem.
Yeah.
That's why you're a veteran. That's why you're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Please, just come up to me. Don't worry about them.
I would, yeah.
Like, there, that goes back to the airport time that we were there, and it's different when you're at a meet and greet. Like, even when we've had our meet and greets, and you go up to like talk to somebody at a table, and I'm always worried, like, maybe they're not here for
I
us.
think about
Maybe
that
they're just here
all
for
the
like
time.
dinner.
Sometimes they weren't.
Right.
Yeah,
You're like,
you're like, all
"Hey,
right."
how are you?" And they're like, "Good." And you're like, and then you're like, "Oh, do you need a water? I'll just get you something real quick. I'm so sorry." We were at the airport. All-time one was in Philly. We had like 5 people in a row come up to us. Love the podcast. Love the podcast. And somebody came up to us, and I was like, "Yep, it's us." And they're like, "Do you order here or do you order up there?" And I was like,
Wait.
I thought every single person at the Philadelphia airport was there for Buffalo Plus.
One time that happened to me, we were walking in our neighborhood. Zach and I were just,
Yeah.
this was probably a couple years ago now. And usually when someone comes up like, "Oh, you look familiar," I'm like, and usually I'm like, are you a sports fan? Like, whatever. We were walking, this woman goes, "Oh, you look familiar." And I go, "Yeah, I'm on channel 13." And she goes, "Nope, that's not it." I was like, "Oh my God." It was
She's like, "You live in the house down the street,
I
right?"
was
You're like, "Yeah, that was totally what I meant."
mortified.
Yeah.
I was like, "I will never do
There's
that
nothing
again."
worse than that.
Zach was like, "Oh, that was embarrassing."
Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Home Depot guy comes up to me and he's looking at me. He's going, I know you, whatever. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then he goes, swapped out a plug on your dryer. And I go, yeah. He goes, "How'd that work out?" I go, "Great." And he's like, "Good to hear." And they walked away. It's so good.
That
So
is-
good. Hey,
that is
man did his
amazing.
job. That's what he
Yeah.
was focused on.
Oh,
I'm like,
That's genuinely impressive as
yeah,
well.
they know their stuff.
There were people in Indy that we went to the Tin Roof, and they said they remembered us from the year before.
Yeah.
Really?
They were
Yes.
like, "Yeah, it was you and everybody around you." I was
Wow,
like,
that's
"Holy
crazy.
cow!"
Yeah.
I do like in the pod how you're like, "This is the center of the NFL universe," and Mike's like, "Buffalo Plus is not the center of the."
We're getting there.
Yeah, we got a long way.
Yeah.
To go. That's
We're
okay.
getting
That's just so funny.
All right.
You look Dale Earnhardt.
That's a story we'd have to explain. It's not me, but I was part of it.
You just nod and go along.
Can
Yeah.
you tell that we missed each other? Okay. All right. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Plenty more coverage. We'll have, like we talked about, the offense on Wednesday, as well as life advice and whatever happens. And
Hey, Buffalo Plus.
Hey Buffalo Plus at gmail.com. We got some good questions. So we thank you so much for watching. For Mike, Dan, and myself, thanks for watching
The Buffalo Plus podcast
the Buffalo Plus podcast.
in the Connors and Ferris podcast studio.
Bye.
Not high.
Not high. God.
We'll host this next time.
Shut up.
Buffalo Plus.